Hey everybody, welcome to My Physical World, where I talk about a lot of things physical science oriented, and I also make tutorials for making scenery for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. And I am also starting a new playlist that is geared around making models, okay? And specifically, the model that I will be starting for that new playlist is Star Trek related. So you can almost say that this new playlist will probably be Star Trek related. Building models different ways, okay? I work in Blender a lot, which is three-dimensional software, but I also build plastic models, okay? So when I say models, I got to kind of remember, am I talking about my Blender models or am I talking about my plastic models? Well, this video is going to be related to the plastic models, even though on the screen right now you're seeing Starship Enterprise in Blender, and we got the original series. The 1701-A is this one. I don't have the refit one on here, but there's some subtle differences, but not too much. But anyway, this is the Alpha, and this is the Charlie, and this is the Delta, and I'm sorry, I did that wrong. Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, and the Echo. Okay? But these are Blender files that actually they're not Blender files. Well, they are now because I converted them into Blender files. Sorry for my cough. These are actually STL files or step files that are used for 3D printing. And I got these off of, I can't remember which site that I got. Anyway, they were models that you can 3D print, and it only showed half of each ship, so you can mount them up on a wall, kind of like a sconce, and have that as a display. But I have other plans for these models in doing some 3D printing and things like that, and probably make some animated shorts, for my own use, not for commercial use. But anyway, I have these enterprise models up just as a kind of like a, should I say clickbait? No, it's not clickbait. It's actually related. But anyway, this is Star Trek theme, so I thought I'd bring up these enterprise models. But what I'm going to talk about today is I'm getting ready to start a project, and I'm going to videotape some of that and add it on to this video, so the audio will probably degrade once I go to my camera. But something that's really important to a lot of Star Trek fans and people that make models that are related to Star Trek is I'm getting ready to make the Polar Lights 1/32 scale Galileo shuttle. And the person that I'm building it for, he's the president of the Federation, which is a Star Trek club / disaster relief organization in Huron, Ohio. Actually, they're all over, but headquarters is in Huron, Ohio. And Russ asked me to build the model that he had of the Galileo. And he also got the interior kit, and he also got the lighting kit. And being, I'm not so much a Star Trek story person. I know the canon, and I know all the different spin-offs and things like that. But I'm fascinated with the ships. Okay, I build model ships over here. I build United States Navy ships and stuff like that. So I just love ships, even fictional ships from Star Trek. I am not a Star Wars fan, but I like detail. I like realism in those models. Okay, and what do you talk about realism when it's a fiction based world, right? Well, doing a lot of research on building the shuttle, the Galileo shuttles, and knowing people that are very close in with the producers of Star Trek, the original series, I wanted to get the real scoop on at least the Galileo shuttle. And in doing so, of course, I watch hours and hours of people building models. And I just want to let you know, and I'm going to put the disclaimer in right now. If you built a Star Trek model other than what I'm describing in this video, you just keep at it. You know, use that artistic license that you want to get satisfaction out of your model building. So I'm not dogging you if you don't paint your models exactly like the so-called canon, all right? But it is important to really understand the intent of the original canon for the ships, okay? It was Gene Roddenberry's dream, and this through conversation with Russ, who is also a good friend with the Roddenberrys. It was Gene's vision that all the ships in Star Trek in the Federation were white. Okay? So, knowing this and looking at all the videos and pictures of people building the Galileo shuttle, every one of them, not every one of them, most of them had the shuttle painted in 2 tones of gray. And that is actually incorrect. Now, if you painted it that way and you like it, you know, that's fine. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. It's for your enjoyment. But when I build the shuttle, I'm going to build it exactly the same colors as was used on the set piece. And the set piece was 100% white on the exterior. Okay? The interior is the that greenish gray and dark beige, you know, that kind of color. But I'm concentrating on the outside for its color being white. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be showing you some pictures that prove that the original set piece of the Galileo was white. Now, many of you Star Trek fans probably knew about this way back in the 2010-12 about the restoration or this particular set piece of the Galileo that went up for auction. Okay, I'm not going to talk too much about the history of there's other people doing histories of the Galileo videos, but I'm concentrating on the set piece itself. Anyway, this has a long storied history, this set piece. This picture is the original set piece that was used in Galileo 7 series in the original Star Trek series. And it was found and it was purchased through auction, and it was fully restored to its original state that was being used in the production of the original series Star Trek. Okay? Now, I'm not going to go into the the nitty-gritty of how it got where it is today, because that's a fascinating story in itself. But anyway, through a series of relationships, failed relationships, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, somebody bought the original set piece for Galileo, and this is what it looked like. All right. The orange is primer on the wood. All right. So this is what it originally looked like when they found it in a heap, neglected, rotting away. Okay. But then it was restored. And I'll show you some pictures of that being restored. And I'm using this website, collectormodel.com, just to show some of the documentation, or the documentation of the restoration. Okay. So this is the shuttle during its restoration, and it's the same shuttle that we just saw that junk heap sitting on the trailer. All right. And I'm not going to name names or anything like that, but most of you probably know this story. Okay. But anyway, the Galileo went through extensive restoration to bring it back to its set state. Okay. And so they worked on it, and the ship was donated to or on display at the Johnson Space Center in Houston. Okay. Now, they used the original plans of the shuttle to restore it. Paints, everything. And the entire shuttle was all white. Now, you look down here, and it looks like it's gray, and the nacelles look gray. I'm sorry, but that is lighting. That is not the paint. The paint is all white. Okay? If you notice, the Galileo had this huge lip that ran along the horizontal center of the shuttle, and it was a huge lip, and the light's coming from above, and that's creating a shadow down here. But how can you tell? Well, it's easy, because if you look at the spars coming down to the nacelles, and you match the color match, it's white. All right. And as you get closer to where these two meet, it gets closer to looking the same. If this was a gray, then it would definitely not get closer to each other in appearances. All right. But here's another example. This is not gray. This is just the shadow from the light from the lip. And if you look underneath the winglets, okay, it's even darker. It's all shadow, okay? The entire Galileo shuttle was white on the exterior, obviously, with the exception of the red stripes and the black letters and things like that. I understand that, okay? So, this is how it looked after its first restoration. All right. And then it sat at Johnson Space Center, where apparently they allowed people to crawl over it and get in it and all that kind of stuff. And it just really went to mess after 2013, I believe. Okay. Which brings us to this image. This is fairly recent. And this is the same model that was in Houston, and it was in another in storage, and it started to disintegrate and fall apart and neglected. Okay, but a new group of people have purchased it and have restored it to its original state, and it's no longer going to be available to be climbed on and poked at and all that kind of stuff, but it's going to be, if it's not already, on display in Ticonderoga, New York, at their Star Trek exhibit there. But the whole thing is white. See, no, we're not getting any more shadows other than right here. There's no more shadows. This is all sunlight, and everything is the same color. A lot of people worry about when they make the model, when they attach the winglets to the body, that there's a big gap and they fill it in with putty and all this kind of stuff. Well, that gap was really there. Okay, so when you put these two together in your model, leave that gap because that's the way it was. But again, the paint is all white. Everything is white. Okay? Even the back, all right? You got some gray here because they touched up some paint, and it's not really gray, it's white, but it's just a different color of white. All right? You got putty and all that type of stuff. All right, but these are pictures of the actual set piece. Okay, and it's all white. It's modeled down here, mottled down here, just because of aging and neglect. All right. Then we go to the new paint job, and it's all put back to nice, pretty white. All right. This is photographic evidence that if you're painting the two-tone gray as thinking that that was the actual colors, that is incorrect. Okay, but if you're doing it to make it look like it was on the set in the show lighting system, then you can enhance it by adding some grays for shadow effects and stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with that. Modelers do that all the time. We weather our models, and especially when you're using such a small scale that you want some dramatic effect to it, you're going to add tints and things to bring out shadows and highlights and things like that. So when you guys are seeing that two-tone gray on box art and all that kind of stuff, that's not the way it really looked. That's just enhancements because they're trying to highlight shadows and highlight highlights, okay? But the actual shuttle itself was white. And you can, if you create a diorama of the shuttle, you can place lighting to take pictures of it just by using normal white LED light and cast it on the model to make it look exactly like it did on the set. Okay? But anyway, there's some more pictures. That is not gray, that is white. And if you can really tell that it was all white because now we got some uniformity, even though this is shadowed, because it goes in like this, plus there's that lip that's blocking the light. All right. So photographic evidence that the original Galileo was all white and not gray. And that's how I'm going to build this model, is exactly how the set piece was. I wanted to talk about other colors of ships in Star Trek series. Okay, I'm just on Google and just type in pictures, and I am looking for pictures that were used in the show, in the movies, the shows, whatever. Okay, many modelers definitely put the robin's egg blue on the ships, which actually did exist in the paint scheme, but the rest of it was white. Okay, and I'm talking about the Enterprise. All right. In the original series, the ship was also white. However, we come to find through the Smithsonian Institute display of the original ship that it was coated in kind of a greenish gray, little bits of brown, highlight colors. And the reason to understand that is that's not the intent of the color of the ship. It's the intent for the ship to appear that it was in space. Okay? And so they weathered it so when it was in Kodachrome film, it would have the appearance of white but yet still in space. Okay? But the actual ship itself, if it was real, it would have been white. Okay? Now, a lot of times, especially with the newer ships, with the exception of Strange New Worlds, okay, that one I think is a little messed up, but we'll talk about that later. But you'll notice that a lot of modelers will do this Aztec painting pattern to the ships. Okay? The base color is always white, all right? But they'll put this Aztec painting, all these weird looking patterns of different grays, pinks, shiny greens, that kind of stuff. And people believe that that's what the Enterprise looked like, but that's not true. The reason that the Aztec painting is such a I'm going to say fad. It's not really a fad. It's an artistic way of showing that not all the material that was used to build the ships was formed out of the same ore. Okay? Perfect example nowadays, if you looked at a polished aluminum aircraft, such as the old American Airlines aircraft, where it was just bare metal, even if you look at that bare metal, that bare aluminum, all the panels didn't match exactly because the ores making up that material were different, and aluminum has a huge array of colors. All right, it's in the same ballpark, but there's different variations in its color. Even with white paint, if you don't get paint from the same batch, if you get 2 cans and they come from 2 different batches, same factory, there's going to be a subtle difference between the 2 whites. They may not be exactly the same. Okay? So there's some variations. That is the reason why people are Aztec painting the ships, is to bring out variations on the metal plates that that make up the ship. That is the reason for Aztec painting. It's not because the ship was actually that color or those colors. Okay, here's the Echo. All right. The Echo, however, Enterprise Echo, did have some gray panels. Okay, dark gray panels. But the primary color of the ship was still white. Okay, so this doesn't really classify, these gray panels don't really classify as Aztecing, but these panels were gray. But the basic color, the base color of the Enterprise was still white. Okay, now in Strange New Worlds, see if I can find one of those. In Strange New Worlds, new models are coming out that people are building, and they're painting them relatively silver with Aztec painting, Aztec patterns. All right, to bring out the variations in the colors of each metal panel that's in the ship. Okay, but they're painting it silver with darker shades of grays and stuff, lighter shades of gray, to do the Aztec painting. The ship was white, period. The ship was white. All right. Now, if you want to add your Aztec on top of that to get that variation panels, then that's the way it should be done. Now, if you're right now, if you're building your Strange New World Enterprise and you're making it silver, I don't want you to stop because I'm saying so. You do what you artistically want to do. But the Enterprise from Strange New Worlds, I mean, it's a gorgeous ship. But again, Gene Roddenberry's vision was that all the ships in the Federation are, the base color is white. Okay? All right, now let's get over to the model table. All right, everybody, welcome to my model table. All right, so the president of the Federation, Russ. Hey, how are you? Hope you're watching. He purchased this model. This is the Polar Lights 1/32 scale model of the Galileo from the original series. Excellent model. I'm not a big fan of unboxing videos, even though this might look like an unboxing, but it's not. Remember, I'm concentrating on the accuracy of when I build this. I want it to be built according to what the set piece look like. Okay. Now, the box art. This is what's, and it's not only Polar Lights model, but it's almost every shuttle that you see. I do have an AMT one as well. Here's the AMT model, and the box art shows it white. Okay, and the original Star Trek was Enterprise was white. All right. Now they show, it looks like, I can't tell in the photo, but they kind of silvered the nacelles. I don't know if that's just part of the box art or not, but anyway, the AMT one is better in seeing that, no, it was all white, right? But if we look at the Polar Lights model, they clearly have it in a two-tone gray. This is a really, really light gray, and then a kind of a medium gray. It's kind of made, it's in, the paint is the Imperial Japanese Navy gray, but they've added white to lighten it up. But anyway, this is a great model. The pieces are, the plastic is nice and thick, good and sturdy to work with. All right, it's molded in gray, but it's not going to stay that way when I get done with it. All right, so I'm not unboxing, so to speak, but this is the kit that I am going to be working on in the next few months. And yeah, I'm going to take my time. But Russ did something pretty cool. He also got the interior kit from Polar Lights as well. And it includes everything to make the interior of the Galileo. you have options. You can make the Galileo, you can make the Einstein, or the Columbia, but we're making the Galileo. But the interior is important. It's not white, okay? It isn't white. It was the walls were kind of well, they were Imperial Japanese Navy gray, but it was mixed with a little bit of green, okay, and maybe a little lighter. All right, so that's what I'm going to try to replicate. But the kit is awesome. Comes with the 7 famous characters of the Star Trek original series. Comes with the seats and pressure tanks, and it comes with clear pieces for all the different computers and dashboards and things like that you can light underneath. Speaking of lighting, that's what I'm going to be doing as well. Russ also purchased the light kit, okay, which comes with its own microcontroller. I think this is Voodoo FX is the company that puts this out. Yeah, Voodoo. All right, so it has its own microcontroller that operates the lights. I had to do some soldering for the pins and things like that, but the microcontroller, you can plug it in by USB into a computer if you wanted to, and you can program it to do other things, or you can just simply power this up with a 9-volt battery and then add some resistors for some LEDs. But it has a whole bunch of LED lights in here for the impulse engines and the orbs on the nacelles, that kind of stuff, plus some lights that you can put in the dash to light up all the instruments and stuff like that. So I'll be adding this to the kit as well, and then I'll be making a base, a diorama base for it that it's going to sit on. So yeah, that is the project that's coming up on this channel on the, I'm going to call it the Star Trek playlist on MyPhysical World. So if you want to join me for that, that'd be awesome. I would ask you, if you would, please subscribe to MyPhysical World and hit the notification bell for upcoming videos. Remember, I do videos on Microsoft Flight Simulator scenery creation, also physical geography, but where I'm getting into doing the Star Trek stuff too as well. Speaking of the Star Trek stuff, I have started the process of working on the shuttle, and it comes, like I said, with the 7 stars of the show. All right. Uhura, what's his name? Kirk, Spock, McCoy, Sulu, Chekhov, and Scotty. Okay, and I'll be putting those all together. I've been working on those. I probably won't film everything on this build. I'll probably do updates, update versions. That way I don't bore you to death. But if you want to see me do more detailed building, let me know in the comments. And if you guys feel inclined, please, you can support me by buymeacoffee.com/myphysicalworld. And I do have a Patreon page, MyPhysical World, if you feel like helping me out there. It's up to you. And I have I'm a cartographer by profession, so I make maps. I have a Gumroad page, which is myphysicalworld.gumroad.com. Links to all these are in the description of the video. I do free content up there, and then I do have some maps that I sell as well. And if you are interested in joining the Federation in their global mission to help those in need, you can visit the Trek Federation, and a link in the description for that will also be found in the description of this video, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you guys have a great day. Have a wonderful holiday season. It's almost Christmas time in 2022. And I will see you guys on the next video. See you later.